Hello YouTube, this week I've got the keys to a 2018 Toyota Tacoma 4x4 TRD Sport. Let's take a look. I take this opportunity to ask you to subscribe to my channel. If you enjoy this video, please like it. And I've got a bunch of other videos you can take a look at. It looks like I have over 100 car reviews now. So don't forget to check those out. This is the 2018 Toyota Tacoma. A lot of people really like this truck. This is your mid-size truck, or really small truck now, because nobody really makes anything much smaller than this in North America anyways. This one here is the 3.5 liter V6 model. It's 278 horsepower, 265 pound-feet of torque. And this is the 4x4 TRD Sport model, and it's about 45,500 Canadian with all the fees, and then you have to add taxes on top of that. This one here, I believe the Sport package adds about $3,500 to it. So you can do the math from there. If you don't go with the Sport, you're going to get less features, but you're going to save a little bit of money too. So I have a friend that has one of these, and he told me a few of his likes and dislikes about this truck. I do like that it's got the hitch built in, and it's got the wiring for both the 4-pin and the 5 or 6-pin trailer adapter. It doesn't have a tow brake controller built in, but it does have it's wired up for it. Basically, you just have to put the wire in your own brake controller. It's got a backup camera, so there's power here, but what my friend told me was that the key doesn't work on the key fob. So we'll lock it, and you'll see it doesn't lock it. So he thought that's kind of odd. I mean, you've got power there already and everything. Why didn't they just do that there? Somewhat slow closing. Tailgate, doesn't slam down. It's still pretty heavy though, and it's got this nice liner in here. You've got some tie-down points as well, and you've got a household outlet here, and those are little bins. The open of this bin is a little bit easier to reach. The other one's just half the size, basically the same thing, just half the size. So you get that. That window, it'd be probably hard to see it from the inside, but that window slides, so that's an option in here. This has got a moonroof too. So for a commuting truck, it's pretty good. Tow capacity ranges depending on the model. I believe it starts as low as 3,500 pounds, goes up to about 6,500 pounds. I think the tow rating on these depends on what features you get on the truck and that. So you've got your seats in here. These are kind of like a leather pleather thing, and behind them you've got some storage, which is nice. And you can pull this up here as well, and there's some more storage down here. So lots of storage bins. You don't have to kind of jam things in. Not a ton of leg room, and no handle to pull yourself up. So with no running boards, it is a little bit of a jump to get up here. But this is in my seating position. I fit back here, but I'm about 5'8". So there's not a ton of leg room for a 4-door truck. It's pretty small, and it's pretty dark in here as well, as you can probably see in the video. Even with the sunroof open, if I close that sunroof, it gets pretty dark in this cabin. These windows aren't really all that big, so I guess that kind of contributes to that. A couple cup holders back here, not much, pretty Spartan. There's no climate control or heated seats or anything. There's one map pocket, and that's it. Up front here, I'll give you just a view of that so you can see, what that looks like, and then we'll move up front. So up front here, ignition on. It's telling me to check charging system. Well, why don't we start it up? It starts, so I'm not sure what that's about. Maybe the battery is running a little low. So you get a little startup. I'm averaging 11.5 liters per 100 kilometers, mostly highway driving. It's got some fuel economy things in the system here as well. This is one of the things that my friend was saying. It's a little bit slow, the nav and that, and it's not the best nav system in the world, but it works, I guess. A little bit outdated, he was saying. It's got dual zone climate control. You can see here 22 degrees on each side, and I can change this one to be 23, 21. Pretty hot in here, actually. I'm going to just drop that down. It's got heated seats as well, and it's got QI charging, and there's a button to turn that on and off. To save a little bit of power, I guess. USB port as well as auxiliary. Here's the button here. Push that, and that opens up the rear window. It's super quick. It's like 2 seconds to roll that one across. You've got this switch down here for ECT power. I'll get to that in a minute. Blind spot monitoring. A couple cup holders up front here, and a little smaller one here in a bin, as well as a storage bin in the center armrest, and another power outlet, 12-volt power outlet as well. It does have a traditional handbrake, not a foot brake, so that's kind of cool. Cruise control, just your standard cruise control on this one. Oh, actually, sorry, I forgot. It does have radar cruise. It's just a little bit different. I was playing with this to turn off the radar cruise, and you got to kind of hold the power button to turn it off. Whereas in my vehicle, you have to push it backwards or something. Anyways, so it has radar cruise. It has regular cruise, of course, as well. It's got audio controls on the steering wheel, and it's got these buttons here, which control this center screen, which has a whole bunch of information, fuel economy, trips, information, and that. And you can have your nav in here and your radio stations. Basically, all the cars kind of have this stuff now. It's kind of, it used to be a little bit different to have that. Now everybody has it. You've got your fuel gauge, speedometer, nice and large, easy to read, and a huge tach. It does have a 6-speed automatic transmission. So it's good, I guess, to watch the tach for towing. About the only thing, and otherwise I don't really care so much about the tach. On the left-hand side, you've got your door lights and your light for the bed in the back, and you've got the switch to turn on the AC power in the back, and auto lights, high beams as well. You got a switch for that. And of course your regular door buttons. So there's not very much here. This is all kind of hard plastics. This is like a rubbery kind of thing. This is all hard plastics. There is some padding on this armrest, so that's kind of nice. You don't get a super sore elbow. And there is padding on the elbow pad here. Not a ton, but enough that it doesn't really hurt. The other thing discovered here is that the seats are not the greatest. So these seats, I can't really show you. It's kind of hard to show a seat adjustment in this video, but it just has the fore and aft, like every seat. It has the bucketing, like every seat, and it has lumbar, like most cars, but it doesn't have anything else. So there's no height adjustment, and the leg here, you can see the seat's pretty. It's not very deep. It's pretty short. And so you end up, I'm not very tall, and you end up with this huge gap between your knee and the seat, and not very much leg support, so there's some complaints about that. You can't tilt the seat, and you can't raise and lower it, so your comfort will really depend on your body shape, whereas a lot of cars you can adjust enough that it doesn't matter your body shape, so they've been pretty limited in that. It does have tilt and telescopic steering wheel, so here's your telescoping. Again, I think it's about an inch, which is quite short, and telescoping is about an inch as well. Usually you get quite a bit more than that. Usually you pull it way back, way in, you get maybe 2 inches of telescoping. That's about it. That's all you get for that. So it's kind of basic in that regard. And at $45,000, you do have, it is quite pricey. It does have sunglasses holder, and it does have the moonroof that I mentioned, and It also has, besides push button start, which I didn't mention, but it does have push button start, and it also has four-wheel drive, right? So we've got two-wheel drive, and if you flick this switch, you'll see this here. It'll say so that's 4 high. So that's basically like all-wheel drive, but it's four-wheel drive. You shouldn't really drive on the highway with it, on dry pavement anyways. And then if you want to go into 4 low, we'll pull that into neutral and then push it down, flip it into 4 low. You hear a click. VSC turns off. Pre-collision braking system becomes unavailable. Traction control turns off. Everything kind of turns off. And now you're in 4 low for stump pulling power and for getting yourself out of mud or whatever. And you see whenever all I did was switch it into drive and the truck kind of jerked forward. So there's a ton of torque when you do that, and the truck will just kind of move forward. So we could switch that out of that because I'm driving on dry pavement here. Put it back into neutral. It'll all electronic switching. Boom, it's pretty quick. And then back into two-wheel drive. So it's pretty quick to do. So that's pretty nice. That's pretty much it for the interior and the features. There's not a ton of stuff, like I said, but a lot of people do like this truck. So let's take it for a drive and then see what it's like how to drive. So I said I'd mention the ECT power button down here, and I'm going to mention it while I'm driving because the transmission shifts so early. You've got 275 horsepower, which is quite a bit of horsepower. 268 pound-feet of torque, quite a bit of torque. Not a super big truck, so it should move it along pretty well, right? But the thing is, the way the ECU is programmed with the throttle application and the transmission, the truck is extremely slow. Like you're accelerating, it just does not feel quick. You got to kind of mat it, and then lots of noise, and then we go. But if we throw that ECT power button on, which turns off every time you turn off the vehicle, so that's somewhat annoying, the throttle application and the transmission shifts way quicker there. So I barely touched the throttle and it downshifted a couple of times already. So way better for towing if you're in a hurry, or just even everyday driving. I just found without pressing that button, the truck was pretty sluggish. First thing I told my friend, I said, it's really slow. And he said, yeah, it's like the slowest truck ever. And my wife actually picked this car up for me, and first thing she told me, she said, it's really slow. I was scared getting on the highway. I don't think it's that slow. I think she just didn't stomp on the throttle, so you really got to stomp on it to get it moving. But then it does make truck noises, which truck guys usually like. And with the big hood scoop in that, it does feel like a bigger truck than it actually is. And the suspension, the sport suspension on the TRD Sport is, it's not sporty, but it's stiff enough that you kind of feel like you're driving a bigger truck than maybe you are, and it kind of gives you that truck feel. Thought I'd give this a try. I've got a 20-foot enclosed trailer here, and here's my hitch on there, so that's kind of cool. And it shows you the center line. So I'm going to back this up and hopefully not embarrass myself and take forever to do this. That's pretty close. I think I'm a little far. So we'll go forward a bit. And I'm going to hook that up. So I've got that lined up here. And neighbor's dog's barking a lot. And we're going to hook this up. Now, this truck's supposed to be able to carry 6,500 pounds. This trailer's 3,500 empty. So we're going to let that down on it. And then we're going to see. So all the weight is on the truck now. Well, that's not too bad, actually. A little low. The truck is a little bit low. I'd have to raise that hitch up. That's set for a bigger truck, and I'm not going to be moving that around. But and the mosquitoes out here are horrible. But it does show that the truck definitely can hold the weight of that. And I've got a weight distribution hitch, so I could lower that on there and take some weight off the truck as well. So it looks like it can hold it. The leaf springs are strong enough, so that's pretty cool. there you have it, the 2018 Toyota Tacoma V6 3.5 liter. It's an interesting truck. If you like smaller trucks, you're still paying almost the same price, or basically the same price as a full-size truck. So don't buy it to save money. You buy it because you like a smaller truck and you don't quite need the large size of a full-size truck. It's going to be cheaper on consumables, at least. Tires are a lot smaller, brakes are smaller, and that, but it's not going to tow as much, of course, and your hauling is not going to be as much, and you've got a lot less space inside. But if it's all you need, that's what you get. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to my channel.